You're listening to Procurement 6, the weekly podcast from the team at Art of Procurement that summarizes this week in procurement in just 6 short segments.
Hi there, I'm Philip Ideson, and today is Friday, March 15th, 2024.
6.
This week, I'm attending ProcureCon Indirect West and recording this podcast from my hotel room above the Las Vegas Strip. So I set myself the task of connecting Las Vegas with procurement for today's tip of the week. So those who walk away with big wins from the casinos of Las Vegas do so because they understand risk and risk mitigation. Essentially, when to gamble, when to fold, when to walk away. Essentially, they're calculating in real time the best alternative to a negotiated agreement, their BATNA. Essentially, the downside risk of taking a particular position. And so for today's tip of the week, it's really a reminder to most negotiators to always know your BATNA or your best alternative when you're entering into a supplier negotiation.
5.
Kelly and I hosted a special Art of Procurement podcast this week as we announced the newest addition to our family of brands, SpendPros. Now, we've provided procurement services for a number of years here at Art of Procurement. In fact, that's what we did before actually launching the podcast 9 years ago, as it is now. But now is the time to take things to the next level, create a brand around our services offering, and as part of the sourcing and category management advisory part of the business, a brand new way to get the help that you need from subject matter experts when you need it. So let's cut into the podcast where I explain how SpendPros works and how we believe it can benefit the Art of Procurement community. Yeah, so we have 2 real engagement models. One is more traditional. One is the more traditional project-based. So you have a need for a subject matter expert to address a specific topic, and that topic can be category related. It can be a sourcing project from end to end, or an initiative, to consolidate your spend. Or it can be, we need help in building a supply diversity program, or we need help doing a capability assessment. So all of those things, we do have the expertise within our network to be able to deliver and handle. Really, the new model that we put together is something called Spend Briefs. So Spend Brief is, you think about the category management and the sourcing kind of continuum. A lot of organizations, you have your generalists within the team that are already kind of sat managing that relationship. So you can manage that end-to-end process, but there's certain points along that process where having an expert in your corner, having that subject matter expertise, having somebody who can go and make recommendations, strategic recommendations based on everything they see and all their experience is super, super valuable. So it's guiding you along the way as opposed to doing all the work for you. So we created this set of briefings, and these briefings are we talked about them being fixed input, fixed output. So what that means is they're pretty set briefings that we'll have an expert that, talks to our clients about understanding what the current situation is, what the need is, what some of the roadblocks may be, some of the nuances in that organization. We'll take that information, add it to some market intelligence that we have access to, add it to their own, the expert's experience to come up with a set of recommendations that they'll then help you socialize within your organization. If you'd like to find out more about SpendPros, you can contact us directly at spendpros.com. There you'll also find out more about how to join our network as a category expert or a SpendPro yourself. To listen to the full episode, just go to artofprocurement.com/podcast or search for Art of Procurement and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, or click the link in today's show notes.
4.
In this week's episode of Art of Supply, Kelly digs into a story I've been following personally, the issue of the new Major League Baseball uniforms. I went to my first spring training game of the season for the Detroit Tigers down in Florida a couple of weeks ago, and it was certainly all the talk of the stadium. Now, Nike recently redesigned the uniforms to be more comfortable, but all changes lead to other changes, and the players are not happy. Reports from the media is that the pants are too thin, too revealing, tucked into shirts, and, everything else as well. They also don't fit as well. And now that the players are fitted to just one of 4 body types rather than having their pants custom tailored just for them is creating certainly a lot of consternation. So there's a few supply management stories in here that Kelly really digs into Art of Supply this week. First, that Nike set out to revolutionize the uniform design, but did they forget about the user, or in this case, the player experience? While Nike is responsible for the design, Fanatics is actually manufacturing the uniforms. And though they have made everything to Nike's spec, it is Fanatics that's actually taking most of the heat from the players and the fans. And finally, delays. There's been delays. So usually players have 5 pairs of pants ready to go on opening day. This year, some players have 1 or less than 1. They don't have any, and they're reusing some of last year's pants instead. To hear the full interview, click out the link in today's show notes or go to artofprocurement.com/supply.
This is Procurement 6 from Art of Procurement. To get notified every time an episode is published, go to artofprocurement.com/subscribe. 3.
We recently released a new white paper, a resource that represents one of the most exhaustive research and content creation efforts that our team has managed to date. The focus was on global services procurement practices and opportunities for improvement. Now, services spend is becoming an increasingly important strategic category for procurement to manage as more and more businesses rely on third-party services to support critical operational and revenue-driving initiatives. So to better understand how procurement teams around the world navigate services procurement and the opportunities and challenges related to it, we partnered with the team at SAP to conduct a joint research project and interview selected leaders about the roadblocks and best practices. Now, our key findings can empower procurement to unlock the full potential of services spend and address the most common causes of inefficiency and opacity. Now, how procurement's potential for impact is rooted in collaboration, how services procurement is ripe for improvement, and that consistency is just as important as having a fit-for-purpose platform. Now, we've talked about some of the initial findings on a recent podcast and at AOP Mastermind Live last November, but now you can finally read the entire research study, and it's really a packed study. So details of how to download can be found in the show notes for today's episode.
2.
As part of our commitment to showcasing up-and-coming procurement technology companies, we have a video series on the AOP blog called AOP Introducing. Now, long-time listeners may remember we used to call it the Startup Series, but we rebranded that to AOP Introducing a year or so ago. It's hosted by my colleague Helen McKenzie, and it's the only content that we create that actually allows a procurement tech company to talk specifically about their startup journey, the problems that they are able to solve, the points of differentiation, and how they are going about doing it. Now, an example of an AOP Introducing is a recent conversation that Helen had with Richard Brown of Anvil Analytical, a procurement and supply chain analytics platform. So Helen asked Richard what he sees as Anvil Analytical's point of differentiation.
What we essentially do is we pull together hundreds of external benchmarks and pricing and various different indices. We combine that with the client's data and then overlay 4 different procurement-based algorithms. So you've got that procurement DNA piece that really flows through Anvil. And ultimately, once all of that wizardry comes together, what comes out the other side is these wonderful insights pages. So you could log in on day one and say, right, Helen, you've got a really big savings opportunity, 2 million worth of savings opportunity on your logistics spend. At the moment, we've had all of these various different indices and algorithms working away to tell you that, and it will help build you that category strategy. So that's point number 1, real focus on genuine actionable insights, and you can use those same tools that expert consultants would use in the marketplace through 4C and our other service-based partners. The second piece, though, as already slightly alluded to and slightly up behind me just to this side as well, is the fact that we have some varied products in the market as well. So yeah, we'll do spend for you, and that's still a big core and part of the business. But we've increasingly got a range of other products that are available, be it the likes of carbon management, be it the likes of market data, inflation, project management, etc. So we can help you with an awful lot more. So if you'd like to report on your scope 2, 3 carbon-based emissions, we can help you with that. If you want to look through the lens of inflation, inflationary pressures and impacts on the business, we can do that for you as well.
To listen to all of our AOP Introducing videos, check out artofprocurement.com/introducing.
1.
Next week, Kelly and I will be joined in our latest AOP live webinar by CERTA CEO Jag Lamba, and we're going to be talking on the topic of enabling third-party risk management at scale. Now, as anyone who knows me knows, this is a topic that I love, and I'll actually be joining Jag on the interviewee side of the table as Kelly poses questions related to which third parties should be procurement's first priority for risk management, ensuring that ESG is reflected in any third-party risk management processes and frameworks, partnering with the business and suppliers to achieve lower overall risk levels, and ways that procurement can simplify third-party risk management with the help of AI and automation. It all takes place on March the 19th at 1 p.m. US Eastern Time, but if you can't attend live, as always, as a registrant, you will get immediate access to the recording as soon as the webinar has finished.
Thanks for listening. We'll be back next Friday at 6 a.m. US Eastern Time. If you've enjoyed this pod, help us grow and tell your peers to search for Procurement 6 wherever they get their podcasts.